Elias's prediction of another brutal day proved accurate. They started moving the herd before the sun had fully risen, pushing the tired cattle hard toward the distant hills. The air grew hotter, and the dust didn't settle. It simply intensified. By noon, the water was gone. The steers, driven by instinct and desperation, started lowing constantly, their eyes rolling back as the heat took its toll, their movements becoming shambling and erratic. Every breath the men took felt like inhaling sandpaper. They reached the base of the hills by mid-afternoon. The men, horses, and cattle were all near collapse, the cattle staggering and falling with alarming frequency now. Jed rode ahead with a shovel to the coordinates marked on the old map, while Elias tried to keep the restless herd from bolting in a blind panic for non-existent water. He barked orders, his voice raw, trying to maintain some semblance of order in the face of chaos. The sound of dying animals mingled with the desperate cries of the cowboys. The minutes stretched into an agonizing eternity, every man acutely aware of the ticking clock of their survival. Finally, Jed returned, his face a mask of defeat and frustration. His eyes were red-rimmed and his shirt was soaked not just with sweat, but with dirt and tears. He didn't need to say a word. The spring was dry, a cracked, sun-baked patch of earth and a few scattered, ancient bones were all that remained of the water source Elias had pinned his last hopes on. The ground was so hard the shovel had barely made a mark. A collective groan went through the men who had gathered nearby, understanding their fate had just been sealed. The ranch was lost, the cattle were dying, and they were stranded in the devil's backbone with no water and no hope. The silence that followed Jed's return was heavier than the dust, broken only by the pitiful moans of the dying herd. Every man averted his gaze from Elias, who simply slid off his horse, sat heavily on a rock, and buried his face in his hands, the weight of his failure finally crushing him, like for part 3.